Stay tuned for urban legends to ghostly tales of the paranormal, because now it's time for
Message on the Wall.
Message on the Wall brings you a murder in Soho. On March the 1st, 1910, a young woman named Bessy Graves was found murdered. The poor girl had been strangled by a silk cord, though it was no ordinary piece of silk, but what is called a thuggy cord, which is 3 foot long and traditionally used by assassin groups in the Middle East. Only this was London, Soho to be precise, and Scotland Yard were quite perplexed. The only suspect they had was Bessy's boyfriend, Arthur Heames, better known as George Gaffney, a petty thief. Bessy had been going out with George with the expectation of him marrying her, but he had different plans, intending to woo and marry Stella Fortney, a rich widow. Bessy had been dead no more than 3 weeks when George, wanting to impress Stella, arranged to take her out, arriving in a hansom cab. But Stella wasn't impressed when George went to get into the cab, only to scream in terror at the sight of Bessy, her tongue lolling out of her mouth in the death throes of strangulation. George turned to drink to soothe his nerves, and after a week with no further instances, he paid another visit on Stella in an attempt to appease her, and she soon forgave him when he presented her with a diamond ring, which was, of course, stolen. Stella sent George down into the cellar to get a bottle of champagne. It was when he was making his way back up the stairs that he was again confronted by the dead Bessy. He was so shocked that he fell back down the stairs, ending up in hospital for several days. It was there that he had plenty of time to contemplate and decided the best thing for him to do was to leave the country. On getting out of hospital, George booked a ship's passage to Quebec, intent on making a new life for himself in Canada. Booking into a hotel, he was all set for his voyage. It was the eve of setting sail, with George feeling some relief that he would soon be out of the country, thinking then that his nightmare would be over. But then Bessy once again appeared, there in his hotel room. She took the silk cord from around her neck and held it out to George, who took it from her, knowing what he had to do. The next day the police broke into the hotel room to find George Gaffney dead. He had written out a full confession of how he had murdered Bessy and of her appearances to him. Now it may well be thought that the guilt had become too much, but what the police could never explain was how the thuggy cord that strangled Bessy had mysteriously vanished from the evidence vault at Scotland Yard to appear in George Gaffney's hotel room, which he placed around his own neck to strangle himself. You have been listening to Message on the Wall, brought to you in association with Paranormal Parodies. You can find Paranormal Parodies at paranormal-parodies.com.